Can Bitcoin be banned? The short answer is no. Governments could push it underground and try and make it difficult to use Bitcoin, but because of a thing called nodes, which is what we're going to look into in this episode, it is impossible to completely ban Bitcoin. Hey, thank you for checking this out. If you're listening, I know that you are someone who cares about your financial future, you're interested in learning more about money, and you want to expand your mind and understand more about this new monetary technology called Bitcoin. And I believe that you are the best person to manage your money, not some hedge fund manager, not some financial advisor. You made your money, you're the one who cares about it the most, and you should be looking after it. And because you're listening to this, you probably care about that. And if someone sent this to you, they're not trying to annoy you or trying to tell you that you're rubbish at looking after your money. They want you to understand money more, and they're actually trying to care about you. They probably really like you, and they want you to listen to this because maybe they listen to it and they want to discuss it with you afterwards, because we're all trying to learn more about this thing called Bitcoin, which could be the key to unlocking our freedom financially in the future. And I believe that Bitcoin is the answer to a lot of the world's problems. A lot of the monetary problems in the world could be solved with Bitcoin. So let's check out this episode on why Bitcoin can't be banned by governments around the world. Hey everyone, if you're watching this and not just listening to it, you'll see that I'm not in my normal place. I'm actually in my father-in-law's study, which is making me get a bit jealous and thinking I should probably read more actual paper books. I read everything on a Kindle now because I'm never going to have a study like this. I mean, I'm not going to be able to put my Kindle there and make it look as beautiful as it looks in here. And also just an amazing spot. So I'm recording this from London. We're here for a little while. We're back from our travels and we're going to be around the UK at least until Christmas now. And today we're talking about how Bitcoin cannot be banned by anyone. Particularly when people talk about Bitcoin being banned, they reference governments banning Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has been banned by some banks, a thing called shadow banking and Operation Choke Point 2.0. If you're in America, you'll know about that. So banks try and ban Bitcoin. I have two UK bank accounts. One is with Lloyds and one is with Starling. Starling will not let me send money to a crypto exchange to buy Bitcoins. They've effectively banned it, but they haven't managed to ban Bitcoin completely. So it's kind of like a little bit of a ban, but today I want to talk about how Bitcoin cannot be banned completely. And to understand this, we need to understand a thing called nodes, and I have to understand a thing called nodes so I can explain it to you. And luckily, over the last week, I've started running my own Bitcoin node, and I will explain exactly what that is in this episode. First, you need to understand, or we need to be able to understand, what the blockchain is. Now, the simplest way that I understood this is that the blockchain is like a global spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheets spreadsheet. Everybody has access to this spreadsheet. And I could have access to it, you could, a whole bunch of other people. In fact, there are about 60,000 nodes running globally at the moment. That number is difficult to estimate because some people are running it secretly and they don't want people to know where they are. Other people are running it in a way which is not possible to tell where their location is. So say around 60,000 people have this Excel spreadsheet, and the number is growing all the time actually. So on this spreadsheet is recorded every single Bitcoin transaction which has ever taken place. So if I sent money to you and then you sent it to your friend, that transaction will be recorded in the spreadsheet, like the address of the person, how much Bitcoin was sent, and a few other bits of information about that transaction are recorded in there. And that is kept from not just the last couple of weeks, but all the way back to 2009. So every single Bitcoin transaction which has ever taken place is recorded on this spreadsheet, which we call the blockchain. Now, because everybody can see that spreadsheet and everybody can see all those transactions, it's very difficult to cheat the blockchain or cheat the Bitcoin code. So you can't just decide, I'm going to put in that I've got 10 Bitcoin or pretend I've got 10 Bitcoin and try and send it to somebody over there, because all the people in the world will be looking at that spreadsheet and they would see that your version of the spreadsheet or the blockchain is not the same as everybody else's. And as a result of that, your fake transaction will get rejected and it won't get added to the next block or the next line of the spreadsheet, because everyone will say, well, this guy's trying to cheat the system. So that's how the blockchain works. And the people who maintain this spreadsheet, this blockchain, are called nodes. And that's what I've started running on my computer this last week. So now I'm participating in the network, and every day or every 10 minutes, it's updating. Now, it took a really long time to download I actually run a pruned node, so I actually only keep the transactions from the last I don't know, 10 days or something like that. So it only takes up about 5 gig on my laptop. But if you want to, you can run the entire node and you have to download the whole blockchain. Now, I'm just doing it just to contribute to the network, really. I'm also doing it, running a node, because of what I learned about how Bitcoin can't be shut down. And I want to be participating in the way Bitcoin can't be shut down. So if governments decided Bitcoin's not allowed anymore, then we would still be able to transact. And this is how it's so interesting that when people say, oh, governments will shut it down one day, you realize that they definitely can't. So the first way that governments can shut Bitcoin down is they could close all exchanges, make it illegal for on-ramps and off-ramps for Bitcoin. That's like getting rid of Coinbase, getting rid of Kraken and Binance, and all of the ways that people buy Bitcoin, they could make those illegal, shut them down. And that's what China have done. They've made all of those companies totally illegal. You can't use them. You can't transfer money to them. That's fine. That could be one way governments could rule it out, stop Bitcoin. People can still do peer-to-peer trading. Bitcoin's very decentralized now, so I could send it to you, you could send it to me. If they want to do that, they would have to shut the internet completely. And even if they shut down the internet, they would have to stop me sending it to you via Bluetooth. That's very easy, or over our like Apple Wi-Fi connection with each other. They can't stop peer-to-peer trading. And really, Bitcoin started as peer-to-peer. So there's nothing really to stop it continuing in a peer-to-peer way. So that's the first way. They could shut down exchanges. They could block bank transfers to crypto services. That's another way. But already a lot of banks block, like I said, sending money to crypto exchanges. I can't, from one of my bank accounts, send money to Kraken, but that doesn't really stop anyone trading in Bitcoin. And also, when I first got into Bitcoin, it's impossible to send money to buy Bitcoin in the beginning. You had to send it to like one bank and then they would route it to Estonia. Like, it was really sketchy the way that you do it back then. So still, what people are talking about is rolling it back like 10 years. So actually, that's not going to stop Bitcoin. At the moment, Bitcoin is still moving forward in terms of these first two things, shutting down exchanges and blocking banking to crypto services. The third way they could do it is they could criminalize merchants accepting Bitcoin. And maybe that would be a thing. I can't see that being a big deal for governments at the moment, and a way that they could stop Bitcoin happening, because you're still going to be able to trade peer-to-peer. It's the same thing. You can't stop people giving a gold coin to each other or saying, you do some work for me and I will pay you in Bitcoin. There's no way they can. I mean, they could stop a few people, but they wouldn't be able to stop everyone, all the millions of people that are using Bitcoin now. The third thing is they could censor network traffic. Again, people could use VPNs. The way I'm running my node, I'm not using a VPN because I don't particularly care about people finding out that I'm running a node right now at this point in time. But a lot of people use a VPN which blocks their location, so it makes it look like they are in another country. Some people use this when they want to watch the cricket, for example, and they're in a foreign country where the BBC is not accessible, so they use a VPN to allow them to make it look like they're in the UK so they can still watch the cricket. You can do that with your Bitcoin node, or you can do that with your Bitcoin transactions. I can't see that happening in the developing world. They would have to monitor so much stuff. That's basically, again, shutting the internet down. But I just can't see it happening. What they've also got to shut down is Coinbase, which is in the NASDAQ now. They've got to shut down all the crypto exchanges, which are huge multinational companies now. I don't think that's going to be very popular. They've got to shut down BlackRock, like all of the ETFs, all of the banks which are now buying Bitcoin. You've got to shut them down. You've got to shut down MicroStrategy, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar company. How are you going to tell these companies that are holding... seriously, I don't think the government is going to say to BlackRock, you're not allowed to have your Bitcoin. We're confiscating it from you now. I just cannot see how that's possible. Okay, so that's the practical ways they could shut it down. Here is the way that if that happened, like worst case scenario, let's say you're in China, this is how Bitcoin could still run, and how some very smart people around the world have worked out to run the Bitcoin network without access to the internet, with government restrictions, in a really dystopian world, say you're in China. This is how Bitcoin could still run in those places. I don't think people understand that the nodes, the people running the Bitcoin software, are the network. The thousands of people like me who have Bitcoin running on their laptops, or running on their computers, or running on their separate Raspberry Pis, they are the network. So even if you shut an entire country down, there are tens and tens and hundreds of other places where the network is still running. So it's impossible to actually kill it. It's like language. You could go out and say, it's illegal to speak French anymore. You could go to France and all those other French-speaking countries, like African countries that speak French. You could go to Canada and say you can't speak French anymore. You could make it illegal. You could stop schools from teaching French. You could put laws in to say if you're heard speaking French, then that's not allowed anymore. You're going to go to jail. You could also make it so that universities and schools don't teach French anymore. But as long as people still want to speak French, they will still whisper French at home. And they'll still teach their children French, and they'll still interact with each other in French if that's their language. It's not possible to completely crush it in that way, and Bitcoin is very similar. The individuals speaking that language is the same as the individuals running the node. And I mean, maybe the people who are new to Bitcoin, who have just got into it, might say, Joe, it's been banned, I'm not into it anymore. But the people like me, who have been into Bitcoin for a long time, who are running the nodes, we're just going to keep running it. We're just going to keep banging out the blocks. We'll keep checking the ledger. And the other thing is that if the internet way is completely shut down, there is a really cool way this company called Blockstream do. And Blockstream have sent up some satellites into space. Now, this is next level. So that in a very bad world scenario, or they did it so that if you're in a country where there's not good internet access, you could get some very rudimentary satellite equipment, a bit similar to how we used to receive TV satellite, like, I don't know, 20 or 30 years ago, a basic satellite dish. And Blockstream are pumping out the blockchain every 10 minutes. They're sending the full ledger to the Earth from space so that if you're not connected to the internet, you can receive the blockchain every 10 minutes. You can get an update for what's been going on, all the transactions that have happened every 10 minutes. Now, that to me is crazy. I only found out about this when I was researching for this episode, but big up Blockstream. They're an infrastructure company that do stuff for Bitcoin. I just think that is so freaking cool. So that even if you're in China now and you are wanting to run the blockchain, or you want to run Bitcoin, you're running your own node, even though the internet is so censored, you could just be receiving a signal from Blockstream so you know what's going on the Bitcoin network and you know your coins are safe, you know that Bitcoin is still running. And if you want to send Bitcoins, you can do it even over a text message so that will get added to the blockchain. And some Bitcoin transactions have been sent over ham radio. Don't ask me how that happened, but that has been a way to do it. So in a really end of the world scenario, Bitcoin can still continue. And that's one of the arguments that people who are really into gold say, is they're like, in an end of the world scenario, we'll just go back to using gold coins and silver coins. That's fine, but I think in an end of the world scenario, I'd much rather still use Bitcoin via satellite or radio or text message. I think that's still going to be possible. And it's amazing. You can't shut Bitcoin down for these reasons. And one of my main encouragements to people now, since I've experienced it myself, is to run your own node. It's very easy. There is a friend of mine called Forrest, and one of the things I would encourage is if you don't run your own node, this is only very recent for me, and this is also one of my friends called Forrest, who, big up yourself, Forrest, he's called Bitcoin Not Crypto. That has, is he called Forrest? One of the things that I would encourage is if you don't run your own node, and I can't believe it's taken me so long to do this. I feel embarrassed that I've been in Bitcoin for so long and I've only just started running my own node, but it is really to do with my friend Bitcoin Not Crypto, big up yourself. His videos of how to run your own node have encouraged me to work it out for myself. And I'm still at the very rudimentary stage of it, but it's made me understand Bitcoin so much more. And I've realized, oh, now I'm running Bitcoin, it's impossible to shut things down. And I can check. I don't have to trust somebody else that my coins are where I say they are. I'm checking that my coins are there. It's amazing. It's a fantastic feeling of self-sovereignty. And you realize that if suddenly everyone outside decided not to run Bitcoin anymore, it became illegal, I could still run Bitcoin and I could run it with my friends and send it to each other. So for all these reasons, Bitcoin is not possible to be banned. So stop worrying about that as a reason to not get into it. It's not happening. Bitcoin's not being banned. It's just growing all the time. There's no way government's going to be able to shut it down. There's no way institutions are going to be able to shut it down. It's growing all the time. You may as well jump on board the Bitcoin train.